What's going on, guys? It's episode 14 of the Stadia Source Roundtable podcast, and before I introduce our special guest today, I just want to see how you guys are doing. How you all doing?
Not bad.
Outstanding.
Had to get that in before Duncan did.
I am brilliant. Thank you very much.
So, what were you going to say, Duncan? That beard's looking big today.
Yeah, Tommy's a gobshite.
Start doesn't mean to go on.
So we've got a very special guest today. Let me introduce him now, and that is Adam, aka Stadia Rokk. How you doing?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for asking me on.
That's no worries at all. So you're going to have to bear with me because I've just eaten some really spicy food, so my mouth is absolutely on fire at the moment. So
yeah, I can smell it, mate.
I was not long on Stadia Dosage's channel as well, so I kind of... Stop it, Duncan. Yeah, so I'm literally...
Or does he look like... What he needs is a Wilson basketball, doesn't he? So, because he literally looks like that the character that Tom Hanks played when he was stranded on the island.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I had to literally come off the stream and then quickly eat my food and then ready for our podcast. But yeah, so thanks all for turning up today, and thank you to everyone that's in the chat as well. We've got some familiar faces. Victor, we've got Raven, Eddie. He was in the stream with me as well. Knuckles. So yeah, Adam, you were meant to be in that stream as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I decided that it would be better to have somebody far more esteemed and technically proficient than I, Dan. Sadly, Clive wasn't available, so I suggested you.
No, I had a ton of fun there.
You know, you're an old tart, mate, aren't you? Once you get that call, you're in like Flynn. Yep, sign me in. I'm up for it.
I do try my best, yeah. So,
yes, you are very trying.
Very trying. Is it a Northern Irish thing?
Very much so.
I actually read that thing you put out, to Duncan, about Northern Ireland sayings, if I say it right.
Northern Ireland.
So yeah, it's helped me decipher what you and Kelly are saying in the zombie army streams that we've been having. Which,
yeah, it's definitely needed.
We've had some positive... Huh?
They've been great to watch back. Really entertaining.
Yeah, we've had some positive comments about just our chemistry whilst playing games, and that's one of the things that we've kind of neglected. We've been focusing too much on like writing articles, which is obviously the primary purpose of what Stadia Source is, but we've neglected to actually play some of these games on stream.
Yeah, have fun.
Which is what Stadia is all about, if you like. So,
warning: industrial language. There we go.
Absolutely, yeah. And we aim to do some more streams as well coming up. We're going to try PUBG, I think, at some point. We might even open that up to fans as well, if you want to join us and have a game with us. So
we can open it up to another 96 people. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
How you doing, Fluffy? And thank you for becoming a patron as well. So yeah, Duncan, do you want to take over now the introductions are done?
Okay, then I'll take over. So we'll just go back to our usual to start this to kick this off. Warning: Kelly is playing zombie army in the background, so you may hear stuff. So that's what you can actually see behind me here. So we'll kick this off. We'll go with Lord Moore. What have you been playing?
Hello there, peasant. No, for me, it's been a lot of Dead Army 4, as well as Red Dead Redemption.
What about you, Rokk?
Dead Army.
Zed, he said, yeah, he was being really cool. I finished. What did I finish this week? I finished something. Oh, Turing. Finished Turing, and then I jumped back into Assassin's Creed, and I've been kicking around in that, wading the high seas and doing stuff. Superb game. Largely that.
What about you, Thomas?
I've been playing pretty much exclusively, actually, NBA 2K20.
Cheap at half the price.
It's the second game I bought on Stadia, so I've been playing it for quite a while, but the online element of it has been non-existent until probably about 3 weeks or so ago. Pretty much see the same sort of 6 people online otherwise, and now all of a sudden it's flooded, and obviously with the EU discount is going to help out massively. But yeah, that's actually really the only thing I think I've played this week.
You're going to have to give me some tips, Tommy, because I bought it for a couple of quid who wouldn't, and I can make him run around and stuff. If I'm really lucky, the ball comes in my direction, but I've no idea what to do with it when I get it, so I just run away.
Well, I think there are enough people now that we know from the community that have it that we could actually probably set up a few games soon as well. I know
That's needed.
I was talking to Sonny the other night about doing something like this now, and that was before the £2.50 deals were rolling out. So
That's
I don't
a good
think we'll
idea.
be shy on numbers.
Yep. What about you, Daniel?
Can I just apologise? I just absolutely fluffed up this stream because I tried to open a window and didn't realise that actually I'd opened it on the StreamYard window. So you just got a nice, lovely view of my desktop there for a few minutes, but it's sorted now.
I thought you were going to say something much worse than that.
Yeah, I was thinking Pornhub. Well, I do most of the time, to be fair. I mean, it's a old man thing.
But yeah, moving swiftly on. So Zombie Army 4. We've been like I said, we've been streaming that on YouTube as well. So that's been an absolute ton of fun. I'm actually enjoying that game more than I thought I would. I played a previous Zombie Army game and I wasn't too pleased with it, but we've been having a proper crack on that, as Duncan would say. And PUBG, I think we had a game last night as well. We had a couple of games. We got down to about 24 people left and then we got killed. But to me, that's an achievement because I'm usually one of the first to die. And Monopoly as well. We had a few games with... I had a few games with my partner. She's been enjoying that with me as well, which is a first foray into Stadia. So that's what I've been playing.
So what I've been playing, I've been carrying everybody in Zombie Army and PUBG. As if anybody believes that, they believe anything. And I've had a bit of the Turing test, and I think I've been just playing lots of drop in, right, sort of games. I've had a wee quick look at NBA as well. But even though I've only played it for 2 seconds, I know it could be Tommy no problem because you know what Tommy's like. So, so we'll just go on to our next topic here.
Hi, Clyde.
And it is the new games coming to Stadia. We've got the Mafia Trilogy. We have reached out to 2K. They're not confirming that 100% that it's all coming. They're saying wait till next week's announcement. But by all intents and purposes, I think it is coming. We had Doom 64, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and today we also got PGA Tour 2K21. Rokk, what's your take on the news this week about these games?
Yeah, they're great, aren't they? Doom 64 was part of the... If you bought Doom Eternal, you essentially qualified for that, didn't you? And I think with the consoles as well, it was part of a pre-purchase package. Doom 64 at that time. But I mean, I love the Mafia games. In fact, I played threw up Mafia 3 yet the other day to continue I finished the game, but collecting the magazines. You know what I mean, boys. That's a big part of Mafia 3. So I love it for that. Mafia 2's great story. So really looking forward to that. Everybody raves about Rainbow Six. I've never played it, so I'm really looking forward to getting my whop kicked in that, and because everyone says it's great. Not massively into golf, but my daughter is, so that will be a nice one for the family. So yeah, great to see some more titles coming along.
Dan?
So yeah, Doom 64, I actually didn't get a code for that because we got provided with a review copy, and apparently that doesn't qualify the Doom Eternal. But yeah, with it being only a few quid, it's something that I'm going to be buying when I get actual chance to play it. Mafia Trilogy, we discussed this on the Stadia Dosages podcast a minute ago, whether the games will be coming out as like all in one game or whether they'll be coming out separately, which that was my thought as well, just because they had separate ESRB listings as well. And Rainbow Six Quarantine. Now, I've played the Vegas games, Rainbow Six Vegas, and I really enjoyed them. So if this is anything like them, then yeah, I'm probably going to enjoy them as well. Can't say I care much for golf, but as any title that comes to Stadia is a big win, especially a sports game as well, which there's a sincere lack of at the moment. So I'll take that as a win.
Peasant Boy, what's your take?
Just please. No, for me, like, I've only played Mafia 3. I love that game, so when the trilogy does come, I will be getting into the first two as well. Give those a good, like, that sounded worse than I meant it. Doom 64, I've never really been a huge fan of Doom, so that one I might have to miss. Rainbow Six, again, I've never played any of the Rainbow games, but I will actually look into it and give it a go. And similar to a lot of the others, I'm not a huge golf fan, but it's like you've all said that obviously big titles like this is always a bonus for Stadia, and it will obviously bring more people in, hopefully.
So can we just, before we move on to anything else, discuss the Rainbow Six Quarantine debacle as it was? And that is the fact that it wasn't actually officially announced for Stadia. Then we found evidence of it on the Ubisoft website, which has then since been scrubbed from the website. So is it a case of, is it definitely coming to Stadia? I think so. I hope so. But why are they so desperate to try and hide it?
They're just not at the time they don't want it announced yet. That might be the Uplay Plus situation, when they're planning on announcing it when Uplay Plus was getting announced as another say this is coming. Tommy, you've got something to say there, or are we just yawning?
So, I mean, obviously, me and Duncan had a little chat about Quarantine in our channels, where I heard about Quarantine like a really long time ago coming to Stadia. Now, I can't put my finger on where that was or why I knew it, but I did. That's why I was kind of surprised when it came up and people were like, did we know about this? And I was like, yeah, we've known about this for months. And clearly we didn't, but I did for some reason. So I'd obviously read a rumour somewhere. But then I did find a lot of articles back to October time last year also confirming that it was coming to Stadia. And that also led into the fact that we know Siege is coming at some point to Stadia. Although not like it's not dated or anything, but we know it's coming. So Quarantine came from Siege anyway. It was a special event that they put on in Siege. So they've just decided to spin it into a full-blown... I don't actually know if it is going to be like a full not single player, but like a separate game, or if it's still going to be a smaller sort of side on to Siege, in which case we may see Siege come at a similar time to Quarantine. I don't see that they're going to release one and not the other when they,
it's a good shout.
They kind of go together very well. I played a lot of Siege back in the day on PC and on Xbox. It's a game that I think will go down really well on Stadia, but it will need to be done like PUBG, because if you're allowing people to play mouse and keyboard in a competitive FPS game, you have to separate that from control users. Otherwise, you run the risk of what happens on console now that they support mouse and keyboard, or they don't actually in that game, but you can buy a dongle which allows you to do it. It just remaps the buttons to the controller layout, but then people get mouse and keyboard with aim assist, and that just breaks the game quite significantly at that point. But I do think it'll be a really good game for Stadia. It's got a huge esports scene. It'd be interesting to see if that took off on this platform. But yeah, I think we'll see both of them, and I think that's probably why they've removed it.
Tommy, what's your take on the other games are?
Mafia 1 and 2 are probably in my top 10 games of all time. I really, really enjoyed both of those games, specifically 1, but 2 was really good as well. 3, I don't care for at all. I just feel like it's not that it's not a good game. I just feel like that should have been its own franchise. It's so far removed from
different.
Mafia 1 and 2 that
Very different.
it's, I don't know, it'd be like, could you imagine if they brought out The Last of Us 2 and it was actually nothing to do with any of the previous story? People would just not care for it. It's not going to say it's a bad game, it just isn't in line with what the franchise was about. It was really quite a curveball when I got it. But I mean, I played about 4 hours of it and I just couldn't get into it because it was so different. PGA, I'll play that depending on the price. If it comes out at 50 quid, I'd probably wait for a sale, but
Be full price, wouldn't it?
yeah, I reckon it will be.
No, I was actually going to touch on one of my points here, just to say the pricing. Shock horror, Stadia actually gave the pricing for the game, and it's 50 quid.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not an unreasonable price for the game, and they're good games. I've played, like I say, previous editions of them. More so, I'm just happy that we're seeing all these sports titles make their way to the platform. 2K are clearly very happy with releasing games to Stadia.
For me, I'll just touch on this very briefly. This is the first week I can say with a clear conscience I want all the games. So I'm greedy. Yes, I will take all the games. Exactly.
Also, the first time we're seeing like a flurry of games where they are all fully fledged titles, as well as in these aren't indie titles; they are big titles.
Yep, I've already picked up Dune. I haven't touched it yet, but I will be. Just to go back on to where we're having a big discussion on Ubisoft. Ubisoft have actually came out in their financials today, and they said games in Stadia are doing well. What do you take from this? We'll start with Ash. Oh, sorry for waking you up there, Ash.
I was actually not actually eating that, so I'll see this one.
I think the financials is more your forte, Duncan, because I know you like to watch them.
He likes finance.
Yes, because I'm awful at it. Yeah, so doing well, I think it's a very general sort of term. I think that they've got low expectations, so they must be exceeding their low expectations. So I think it's a good sign that they're actually saying doing well, because they wouldn't be saying doing well unless they had some back in the way. Because in these financial reports, they would say below expectations and such things like that. Does anybody else want to touch on to this? Rokk, are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's I haven't seen the report, so it's the first I've heard. And doing well, I mean, is that literally what they said? They're doing well. It's a subjective term, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, then they haven't said they're exceeding expectations or they're meeting expectations. They've just said they're doing well, and I think that's as woolly as you could probably get in a financial, because there's no commitment in that statement. However, the key thing for me is Ubisoft are all in. I mean, they are all in. And I think any new Ubisoft title or any recent Ubisoft title has almost certainly been ported or has been developed with Stadia in mind. I'm still, we know we're getting Ubisoft Plus, and it's not going to roll out with 4 games. It's got to be on, it's got to have a decent library. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to charge anything for it. So, my feeling is they're already committed, and it's a long-term commitment. They don't, and I'm sure that it involved a fair level of palm greasing as well. We've seen that with indies. Why wouldn't they have done a similar deal with Ubisoft? So I don't think they're losing money. They're probably wiping and cleaning their faces. But yeah, I'm not concerned that they're concerned in any way, shape or form. And in any case, as we've seen with Square Enix who had a similar report. There's big commitment rolling through now from all the studios. They're all coming out now, as we suspected they would, saying, yeah, you know what, we're actually all in on cloud. And they know it's not going to happen in 2 weeks, but they're being bullish enough to say that they expect to see a bigger commitment commercially within 12 months. And that's impressive that they feel that way. So yeah, it's where I would expect them to be with it, to be honest. And I couldn't really imagine them turning around at this stage and saying it's been dire, because they've got too much wrapped up rolling out in the next few months. I mean, that'd be the last thing they'd want to say.
Yeah, just to go back to the Uplay Plus situation, that's where they're making most of their money on their PC now, is the Uplay Plus. So this is going to be a big thing
right?
for. It's either it's either 40% or 60%. It's one of them two. So it's a fairly substantial amount they're making from PC is from Uplay Plus. So I think this is going to be a massive thing going forward on Stadia. Tommy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, it's no surprise that Uplay Plus would be doing better on PC than the console market. I think it lends itself more to a PC kind of user base until something like Stadia becomes apparent, where you can literally just sign up, press and play any of the games with no downloads, installs, patches, anything like that. That is what's going to be a massive game changer. And we've known that Stadia were never going to do it themselves, but they always said that they'll open it up for developers to run their own levels of Game Pass. And I know a lot of people still think that Stadia is going to go to a catalog system at some point. I don't think they ever will, because at the end of the day, they are only a platform. They don't need to do any of that work. No. And if they can let the developers have all of that control themselves, and then just get I'm sure they would be asking for a percentage for running on the platform at that point. That makes it's easy money for Stadia, less for them to deal with, because clearly they struggle to deal with things at the best of times. So why take on that extra responsibility when you could leave it to the likes of Ubisoft to go, do what you want, just give us a portion of that revenue?
Yeah, and I think as well, we have to bear in mind that one of the key factors, I believe, behind Google's business plan is the revenue that they would generate from the massive people playing games on YouTube, which of course will happen. We know that they said, and I can't remember, you might remember this, guys, it was either one of the Connects or a GDC, where they said that the future is everybody will have all of their gameplay archived, and whether you decide to make it public or not will be up to you. But of course, most people will go with it public. And that means every single game played on Stadia will have advertising revenue implications. So from data capture. So that for me is their major ace up the sleeve. They're looking at this and saying, how do we quadruple exponentially the potential to generate ad revenue? It's because we give every single person playing a game access to YouTube, and their stuff's there.
Yeah, we'll go for a bit of a fun one here. Also mentioned in this report, there is one unannounced Ubisoft game coming this year.
It's time for another Duncan's predictions.
No, I'm giving everybody a chance here. We'll start with you, Dab. What is this game?
Damn, why did I talk? I have no idea.
There's one safe answer, I think, which I think a lot of people will say.
I'll let other people go.
Oh, you will come back to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
Tommy?
can steal one of their answers.
I think it's something that we don't know about yet. I don't think it's
that's what the term unannounced means.
No, I mean it's in a game that hasn't been rumored or anything like that. I think it will be a AAA
just wording.
I think it will be a AAA that's likely to be a brand new IP. I can't see that if it was something that we knew about that wasn't official, I don't think they'd be so secretive about it. They'd probably be happy to just say it's been delayed or along those lines. But I mean, I don't know, to be completely honest. Obviously nobody does, but I would imagine that this is something that has been held back. Although something's just popped into my head, and it's Beyond Good and Evil 2, because that game is taking much longer to surface than it should have done. I believe it was actually supposed to come out by now originally, and then got pushed back, and it's never been confirmed for Stadia anyway, but I'm going to go with that. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Rokk?
Oh, I don't know. I love Ubisoft. I mean, they're probably my favorite studio in terms of their different IPs. I actually think Tommy was on the money when he said it's going to be a completely new IP. And on that basis, how the hell can we possibly know? I mean, obviously we know that Woof is coming, but we don't know when. And that would have been my instant on the basis, however, that we knew it's coming at some point. A brand new IP. The thing you can say about Ubisoft is that it'll probably be some sort of an MMO, large open world sandbox, but with new characters and a new situation. But I would have thought if it's coming soon, there would have been some whispers of it somewhere. I mean, you can't develop a game these days without somebody knowing about it, can you? Hundreds of people involved in the process.
Yeah, I will say what I think it is after Ash. That's it. Okay.
Eddie just said... Oh, go ahead, Ash.
Oh, no, it's fine, Karen.
I was going to say, Eddie just said in the chat Far Cry, which was actually the game I was thinking of, but I just couldn't think of it in my head. And that's not me lying to make it look like I was...
Yeah. You see, that lends itself to what Rokk was saying. It is a cut. I don't want to say a cut and paste sort of game, but it's something which would be a lot easier for him to sort of do. So, Ash, continue there, or are you okay?
I'm just going to say that I'm going to have to go along with Tommy and say that it's going to be something brand new that we've not even heard of yet. Sorry, just do your idea.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Far Cry, but the curveball one could be another. Oh, it's just went out from my head now. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell.
Yeah, we did see a tie-in with Ghost Recon as well recently, so that could be a hit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Good
You
shout.
guys have just given me an idea. Just to
Hold on.
quickly check something.
okay, we will just
See
sit
the
here and talk.
table just lifted up slightly.
You can carry on. See the table.
But yeah, it's
It is
all
after
right.
9. I mean, we're all right, aren't we?
Yeah. But it's an unannounced AAA title. I think Far Cry is the safe. It would be the safe guess. For me.
Yeah, well, the last DLC and I loved it. I love 5. I love all the Far Cries. I love them. I love Ubisoft. But the last one was virtually a single game in its own right. Anyway, the DLC, it was huge. So, there's that's a really good shout. There's every reason to imagine that they could sneak another slight deviation on a theme, maybe.
Here's something else just to add a bit more to it. I could go back to Far Cry. What was when you were set in the
Caveman.
Yeah.
Primitive or primeval.
Yeah, something
I
along.
loved that, by the way. It was panned, but I thought it was fantastic. I loved it.
They used the exact same map as Far Cry 4, so they could do something like that.
I didn't know that.
So that's something they could do.
Primal. Thank you, Anthony.
Tommy, did you find what you were looking for there?
No, I just thought I'd check in any kind of voice acting work for Michael Ironside, but it is only showing Breakpoint, so... Because I know that people have found things like that before, where they
That's
just
clever.
look for people that have voice acted and seen,
That's
oh,
clever.
look, they're working on something.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't tell you what it is, but if they're voice acting and we're waiting for a game to be announced,
Yeah.
there's a good chance that could have been it. I'd love to see another Splinter Cell. Those games are fantastic fun.
But you're right, Dan. I mean, it's just been pulled into Breakpoint. I mean, that's a very interesting thought.
Since we're just talking about studios here, I think we should continue on to Square Enix and their interesting announcement this week with their quarterly earnings. Basically, for those who didn't see it, they are basically, the best way to say it, they're all in cloud gaming here. They are going hell for leather for it, and for Stadia specific ones. They are talking about cloud native games, and they are really excited about cloud going forward. They also brought in there's going to be multiple cloud streaming solutions coming this year. So it's not so that's Amazon's one are coming in the future. So that means there's going to be more of them. So Ash, what's your take on this?
Fuck me.
Hopefully it's not that.
Damn it!
That's the best proposal you've ever had, Ash.
Nice.
Well, look at that table go higher.
That's why he has his camera off.
No one's allowed to see.
Super. Oh.
Quiet, Kelly. No, I think it's awesome that Square Enix are so excited about cloud gaming and all that kind of stuff. It's like we know with cloud gaming, the possibilities are pretty much endless. And the games that they brought out in the past are amazing, like Final Fantasy 15, like the size of the maps and detail and everything. So I'm definitely looking forward to more Square Enix stuff coming out.
Can I just, I know Raven Anime's in the chat, and I know that they were talking about it in the Stadia Source Discord today. I'm trying to find it as we speak now, but there is actually another streaming platform that I hadn't actually heard of until today. I can't remember the name of it, so Raven, if you're there, please let me know. But yeah, they've got all sorts of games like
Vortex.
Vortex, that's the one. Yeah, they've got Grand Theft Auto, they've got Destiny. So I don't know whether that's out as we speak. So it's something you can play. So it's not something that's coming, but I wonder if that's involved.
What sort of
somewhere.
a GeForce is it, or is it like a virtual PC thing, or?
I think it is, because I think I heard about that around the same time I heard about Shadow for the first time. But I tried Shadow, I haven't tried Vortex, so I can't really comment on it.
I saw that it was they did like a comparison. Yeah, it's cheaper than Stadio, I think, as well. They've actually got a massive amount of games as well compared to like xCloud and Stadia. I know they did like a comparison of all four. They kind of got rid of GeForce now from the get-go because they couldn't get it to work. But I think xCloud came out on top, then Stadia, then Vortex. It just wasn't as smooth.
Interesting.
Now, the only downside of that, having a quick look, is time limits.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. They're looks like they use the IBM network. Excuse me. Which is not surprising because it's huge. Yeah, no, I hadn't seen this. This is worth a look. So yeah, £8 a month, but as you say, it's restricted to 50 odd hours, isn't it? I just skip past there. 50 hours a month, which would soon go. I mean, I'd probably play that in a day.
Yeah. Somehow.
It's a time warp. But even there, 84 games. Yeah.
But I don't think that's being taken as seriously. I mean, the fact that I'd never heard about it until today.
It's got Fortnite.
You know, I mean, I don't think it's part of the conversation, to be honest.
No.
Not to bash it at all.
Yeah, the ones I know about on top of my head, which is the EA one, which I think Tommy thinks is dead now.
Well, I'm not sure I think it's dead. I think, to be fair, I think it will be used as a tool rather than a player's platform. From the things that I've read, I know that they were big on it originally as being a place where people would be able to develop in the cloud, like Stadia has been used for in this sense where we are now, that they can give it to devs to use like the toolkits now and try games. I think that's probably going to be more how it ends up being, but it was certainly initially going to be a platform players could use as well.
And the other one I know about, which is a bit low-key at the moment, is Facebook. The Facebook one's being worked on because I bought a cloud gaming one. We spoke to Ash. Rokk, have you anything more to add in the Square Enix news?
No, I mean, as I said earlier, I think the key thing was, the fact that they're literally all in on it. I mean, and they were talking about developing cloud-only games for, obviously release over the next couple of years. So, and I think that's just indicative of the market full stop now. It's a done deal as far as I'm concerned, but it's interesting to see people like the Vortex boys popping up. I mean, it is, as you rightly said, it's a virtual PC, and that's easiest to set up. But no, I thought it was very interesting from Square Enix and very encouraging. And I think what it also does is it silences a lot of the kind of negativity in the press that, which I think, to be fair, once the next gen consoles have made their way out, we'll see that sort of subside anyway, because they'll have a lot more to talk about. So, I think we'll quietly be moving our empire into place. But yeah, very interesting.
Tommy, do you have anything more to add?
Yeah, just to touch on what Rokk was going to then, with them making games purely for cloud, it's the only thing I don't like about that is, are they already looking at exclusivity as in partnering with somebody for those games? Because at the moment we don't have any issues, because Stadia is essentially the only cloud platform that is current and active. But we know that's changing. We know that Amazon are working on something. We know that obviously xCloud is likely going to get a serious upgrade when the new hardware launches, which would then make it a real competitor. I don't want to get to that point where all of a sudden cloud becomes normal, so all developers just go, right, yeah, well, we're going to focus on this platform. I know it doesn't really affect us in the same way because we don't have to buy any hardware, so we can actually use every platform that's on cloud. I don't really want to get into the point like I had on the PC, where I've got the Epic store for some games, I've got Steam for other things, I've got Origin for other things. It's just faff having to move between everything all the time. But I mean, Square Enix, again, clearly supporting Stadia so far. It would be great to see that continue into the future.
It's like we've got TV services, though, innit? I mean, we've got like Netflix and Now TV and Amazon Prime, and it's got to the point where everybody kind of wants a piece of that pie. So how many more streaming services are kind of being worked on at this point in time, because people think, that's a niche market that I want to get into early, so that they can profit from it. And eventually it'll get to the point where certain games just won't come out on your preferred platform, and you'll end up having to switch between multiple ones. And it's great having the choice, but it's annoying at the same time having to subscribe to multiple platforms.
Rokk, can you say the word for me? That's my project.
Chimera.
There we go. Thank you very much.
I don't even know what you're on about. I just knew that's the word you couldn't say.
Yeah. And then the cloud exclusive features like that are going to come into play, because can you imagine Square just using that to populate all their RPGs?
Yes.
And they won't have to develop the characters. It's all that sort of thing as well.
There's also the thing I've not heard many people talk about, but the fact that Tencent have been buying up all the streaming game services in China, so they now own the majority. That for me also is one to watch in terms of where they move with that.
And who have they partnered with? I've got like a massive
GeForce, Nvidia,
and
Amazon.
You're going to say Epic?
Epic.
Epic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You knew that all along, didn't you?
I did. I was just waiting. I like to tease Duncan into coming forward with it.
Rokk was right with that though, because they are looking at Epic are looking at partnering with GeForce Now, and I think the reasoning behind that is they are seeing what Stadia is doing, and that we're pushing that. The fact that we've now got the shareable link that you found, Duncan, that is exactly the kind of thing that makes life easy for everybody. You look at something and go, yeah, I want to play that. You press that button, it will launch GeForce Now, which by that point will have probably had a massive overhaul, so it doesn't look like crap, and it's a much smoother GUI like Stadia is. that is the future of gaming. It's not navigating several windows. It's a one button press, and you either have to make a payment to play it, or you own it, so it just goes straight in. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they've already said that about the buttons going into different clients.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I've just signed up for Vortex, boys. I'll let you know if it's any good.
Have you?
Mm.
Antonio is saying something
Interesting to
about
see.
penetration in China. Tommy,
That's one for Kelly.
Oh, I'm going to tell her what you just said, sir. He's going to murder you.
Penetration in China, my favorite film.
are you aware of that comment, Tommy?
Yes.
Kelly says that's true.
22nd of May, 10:30. If you want more of this,
Yeah, we're gonna have to start doing Stadia Source after dark at this rate.
you know it makes sense.
Patron only.
Jesus.
Okay, I've got me all flustered now.
Hot and
Kerfuffled.
bothered.
Kerfuffled. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next one is there's new Pro Deals, and there was one very notable one on this, which was for some game with Tommy's rubbish at called NBA.
Can I just hear the words come out of Duncan's mouth first, please?
What?
About the price?
It was £2.40 or something along the lines, and Tommy was right. I admit when I'm wrong. To be absolutely fair,
Oh my god.
exactly. That was oh my god. Tommy was right.
Jesus Christ. That wasn't it.
So yeah, Tommy was right in that. But do you want to have a wee quick go there so you can throw me under the bus?
No, I mean, to be fair, there were definitely issues with how it was portrayed anyway, regardless of whether or not the price was right, which it clearly now is. The communication that got put out there didn't match, even to the point where the blog, obviously they're an American team, but if they're putting something out and they're saying that it's going to be a price, but then in Europe it's a significantly cheaper price, surely you would have put that in the blog to say that it's different price somewhere else.
Can I just jump in there and let you finish your point? And on Discord as well, Grace and Chris did not have a Scooby-Doo what was going on.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it was Sunny that confirmed to me when Grace did then say that it's got a different price for the EU than everybody else. But yeah, it didn't come. I don't think they knew what was going on. I mean, the only reason that I felt that the price was right, actually two reasons I felt the price was genuine. One, that 2K Sports generally do have these ridiculous sales every now and then on their titles, and that has followed suit on other platforms before. Stadia managed to get this deal first. That's the other impressive thing. They got that deal out there, and if you follow the game on any other platforms, it has been to within £1. It has been priced the same across all platforms, and Stadia, it makes sense because, as I said earlier, there was a really low player base to the game. Obviously, we don't have the player bases that Xbox, PlayStation has anyway, but to have an online aspect of a game which is massive in the NBA 2K games, from playing they call it My Neighborhood, which is online essentially, but just as your one player, or even playing in teams against other players. The matchmaking is really slow, and it's just down to the fact there are not enough people playing it. Then when you factor in that the other store, Xbox has it on Game Pass, so that is technically cheaper anyway. But it's, yeah, I could see it happening because they needed to boost the players. I'm just happy that Stadia actually got that out there before any other platform.
There's a third point as well, and that is obviously basketball isn't that much of a massive sport over here in the UK.
Yeah, that's right. Unless you already like it, I don't think many people pick up the 2K game, the NBA games. probably a little bit different with EA's games because they were a bit more arcadey rather than simulation, like the jams and stuff like that, where you get like the oversized heads and the super dunks and all that sort of stuff. I think more people will lean to playing a game like that than a straight sports simulator.
I know I bought it because it was that cheap, so you know,
That's
I
right,
might try
bought it
it
as
out
well.
and think, actually, I do enjoy this. So same happened with Supercross.
Great looking game.
Dan, top of your head, I haven't got it loaded up here. What was the other deals? The new ones? Was it Lost Words, or was that the week before?
No, you're testing me now, and I can't change it because it'll screw up the stream if I change the tab. But I'm pretty sure that if I just stall for long enough, then I can go on my phone and check it out. I should know all this, but I think there's that much news floating about. It's just hard to keep up with everything.
It's almost impossible to keep up to date with everything at the moment.
Oh, the crew, was it the Crew 2 went back
Crew
on?
Crew
2,
2, yes.
Yeah, and that's also this. I think it's the same deal on standard as well, isn't it? Standard Stadia. At least the 1980 is the first. 25. Sorry, no, it's cheaper. Sorry.
It's also worth mentioning it's now been discovered that the Crew 2 has crossplay with PC now, which should also boost the player base, which is an
that's
absolute...
live, is it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We were talking about that in the Dosages podcast, and I wasn't aware if it was actually live yet.
I think it's live because they've got it up in they've got an article up on it, so I'm assuming it must be live. Because our Lord and Master has been pretty quiet, we'll give him a wee shout here. Oi, you wake up!
No.
Just no. No, for me, having the Crew 2 being on there is a big deal for me because I've been playing the Crew 2 for a while, and the biggest issue I've had is the live battles. The issue with that is that obviously you're mixing with a bunch of randomers, but I've been waiting at times, like I've shown Tommy before, I could be waiting up to an hour, and I get 2 people in the queue, and that's it. What?
You like showing Tommy things?
Normal things.
He doesn't have a camera, luckily.
But yeah, again, having all these deals back on again is obviously a bonus for people getting.
So I could tell you exactly what's there. So we've got NBA all versions, Mortal Kombat 11, the Crew 2, and then we've also got those same deals minus the season pass for the Crew, which is on sale for non-pro members as well. So
okay, cool.
And for me, it's like the NBA. That's just not a huge. I'm not a huge fan of that either. So even though it's 340, was it, or 240?
240, something like that.
Even at that, I'm good.
Okay, I think we'll move on to the next subject.
Before we go there, this is quite interesting. Do you want to share the screen or something? So I've signed up for 16 quid. Look how many of these say license required.
As in, you have to have bought them somewhere else.
I have to own that game to play it.
Yeah, I'm guessing you might have to link it across like you do with GeForce then.
So where would you have to have owned them?
Yeah.
Steam or Epic or something?
GTA is a perfect example of that. You can't even share that game on family, whereas most games you can. When you go to load it up, it then asks you to input a license key. You just can't use it on multiple accounts, and that will probably be the same thing here. You'll have to link your previous title, but if it's GTA, that might mean that you can't play it.
Well, the thing is that definitely didn't say that before I signed up. I've just gone through a typical consumer user case. It said there's 181 games to play for 80 odd hours a month. So I've come in and all the juicy stuff is under license requirements. So that's probably where they're getting around the issues that GeForce had, I'm guessing.
I've just a game that I just seen within the list there has just made me think, actually, and I'm sure it was yourself, Duncan, that mentioned this. Disco Elysium? Was it you that posted about that?
I can't remember. I posted all the random stuff.
I think it was, to be fair, I think it was within our private chats, but I'm sure you mentioned something about Disco Elysium for Stadia. Now, that's a game that I've had on my wish list for a very long time. I followed it from a year or two before it even got released. Although I have played it and I didn't actually enjoy it, so I was really let down when that got to that point. But that is a game, again, that if that comes to the platform, that we're just going to see this myriad of different styles of games finding their way onto the platform. And again, they're the kind of games where you wouldn't... It's a completely hand-drawn game and made by a small development team. They're not the kind of games that you would imagine porting being top of their priority. But if they are doing that, and it was a genuine thing that whoever it was that wrote about it may have been Adam actually. I'm sure I've seen somebody in our channels talking about Disco Elysium recently. But I'd love to see the game on the platform. I'd love to give it another go. I just found it extremely confusing.
It does actually say under Minecraft, free in-game license. If I go back in, it says it just under there, free in-game account. Free in-game account required. That's not the same as free license, is it?
Oh, just while we're doing this, public service announcement. If you already didn't know, GTA 5 is free on the Epic Games Store, and they've actually got a really good sale on there. I know the Epic Games Store has awful reputation. You buy a game for 15 quid, you get £10 off it, and you get a new coupon, and you can use that as many times as you want. So that is a really good deal. They're trying to get the claws into you there, but it's a brilliant deal. It's something actually which Stadia are actually doing as well, but a bit more subtly with the pro games, because they're just chucking as many pro games down as possible at the moment.
Didn't the Epic Store break from too many people?
Yep.
Yeah, I literally only got into it 5 minutes before we went live from 5 o'clock. So it's taken best part of 4 hours for me to get into the Epic Store to claim GTA. I'd also just like to point out that, also, if you do claim GTA, that actually activates the secondary coupon by itself, and that's without spending any money. So I did that, and then I went and checked Control, because Control is on sale at the moment for $23.99, and you can buy it for $13.99.
And when you buy it, you will get another £10 coupon. And Rokk has just killed himself, so everybody pray for Rokk. We will have a moment's silence for Rokk. Yes. But everybody bow your heads. Bow your heads.
Bow your head, Ashley.
No. Ashley, do it. You're so disrespectful. Crown on top of his head. Heretic.
Maybe it crashed his computer, that's why.
Yeah. Or
Wouldn't
maybe
surprise me.
or went into full screen. Oh, miracles happen.
I was disgusted here of purchasing Vortex Land. I want my money back. I can't play anything on there without having bought it already. That's a load of old pants. Not happening.
Didn't Minecraft give you a copy for free when you upgraded to Windows 10?
Don't know, because I'm a Mac.
I know there was a free version given away. I can't remember what it was, but
I have it. But I was like, I've never bought this game, but it was in, because this is an account that I've used for Xbox and so on for so long that it's just there. I just wish I'd worked with Microsoft Rewards. I'd have probably got loads of stuff by now. Yeah, I noticed the other day that I can install it for free from within Windows. So.
Antonio said yes, they did, so you could be right on that one.
Don't have an RTX enabled graphics card, otherwise I'd probably actually play it again now. It just looks insane, the difference between how I remember Minecraft and what it looks like today.
It is a good game and it stood the test of time, but it's got to be
still like something
niche.
As soon as the RTX upgrade came out, like Dan sent me, I can't remember if it was an image of the original compared to the new look of it for a video, but as soon as it did, I was like, oh my god, it actually looks beautiful.
Speaking of which, I know this is backtracking to earlier in the show, but the Mafia screenshots from the I think it's from Mafia 2 actually. That game looks amazing.
Is it remastered?
Complete remaster, yeah. It's full 4K.
If I think I seen it's 50 gig installed.
50? We don't care, do we?
No, I'm just putting that out there, but I'm just saying for.
Come on, mate, get with the now. What's wrong with you?
See, this is why I'm doing this, so you can talk about there's no hard drive requirements on
Exactly.
Stadia.
Well, we were kind of talking about the Unity demo, which I think we're going to be talking about later as well, and some of the size requirements that's going to end up generating from games.
Yeah, that's 4K. Everybody wants 4K. 4K comes at a cost of big install signs.
Yeah.
Next thing here, I don't think we need to go around the table on this unless people have got really strong feelings on this. Rokk of Ages has been delayed by a couple of, it's about 6 weeks it's been delayed. So because of the current situation. So I think a lot of people have got that on their list as wanting the game just to keep an eye on. So it's just been delayed slightly. This could be an interesting wee discussion here. Crayta. I think this is setting a lot of ourselves and the Stadia community fired up, and some of the things they're doing with it is outstanding. They did the controller, building a game with a controller last night or the night before, and they've also got some of the demo games to start off with.
Prop Hunt.
Excuse me?
And
Prop Hunt.
All right.
Okay, so Dan's interrupting me. Dan, you go first because I know you've got you're big into this here. Just while I remember, I'm going to be holding a discussion in Crayta with a number of people coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to get a couple of people from the community in to have a discussion with it because I think it's really, really exciting, this game. So, Dan?
It's not a game, Duncan. You can't play it. You build stuff and play with it, mate. It's like calling Unreal a game.
It's like Lego, isn't it? So
Minecraft.
No, I mean I'm just hyped about the game because obviously I'm a bit of a developer myself. Not so much on the games aspect of it, but I assume that there'll be some kind of transferable skills that I can take from my web development over. Like I said in a previous podcast as well, it does use elements of like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which are all web-based technologies. So, from what I've seen so far, some of the games that are kind of coming at launch with Crayta, they all tend to kind of look very similar in terms of like the character designs and what have you. So I don't think it's going to be as vast and broad as what Dreams for the PlayStation is. I mean, I've just seen a video today. Someone's recreated Sonic Adventure in Dreams, so I don't think you'll be able to go that far with it. But at the same time, some of the videos that I have seen, like I said, Prop Hunt is coming as well. So I think there's going to be an array of games that you'll be able to play when Crayta does drop, which is brilliant. And I can't wait to jump in and see what I can start creating myself. And I know that Andy Morphs is also holding some sort of event where developers can jump in and try and create a game in 48 hours. I'm going to be a part of that as well. So excited to see what we can come up with.
I'm actually going to bring in Tommy here because I know Tommy's got some feelings in this game. Me and you have talked about this. You're not you think it needs something to show it off, don't you? It needs a hook to get it going to start off with.
Yeah, it's like I did all of that without moving my mouth.
Aren't they awesome?
I feel
strings.
like there's going to be some sort of mixed feelings with it, and that comes down to, obviously they're looking at some point allowing monetization of assets or games to be possibly purchased from within Crayta, which I'm absolutely fine with. At the end of the day, this is a tool to get people from probably more beginner aspects of development into creating things in a world where people can literally use them, play with them, and even mod them into bigger things again, kind of like a Gary's Mod 2.0, if you like. But the problem that I see is somebody that has also dabbled in sort of development from different things in the past, and I've actually worked with Unity quite a bit, in never published anything, but certainly played around and built some prototype things. It's going to be in a strange place because you cannot export anything out of Crayta. Whatever you build stays within Crayta. You don't really get the rights to anything. You might be able to sell things in there, but it's still going to belong to Crayta. It will be their IP regardless of who builds within it. So anybody that's building things currently or wants to build something to export or do something else with, Crayta's actually going to be really limiting in that sense. But I don't think that's what they're after here. I think they're after more just kind of bringing people into a world of development. It's going to be fantastic for anybody that's even got just the smallest insight into it, or even just thinks, I'd love to try game development, but I don't want to go off and pay thousands of pounds to attend whatever courses. And you're going to be able to learn in-game. There are going to be tools that allow you to not have to worry about coding, and then there's going to be things that bring you into learning how to do that as well. But they're certainly going to have to chuck in a good number of games to hook people in the first place. Whether or not that's working with people to build things before the game launches or what, I don't know. But I feel like if they just give you the tools and there's like 4 games in there already, it's going to just disappear within a month. It's going to be too technical for most people to just pick up and run with instantly.
It's a stepping stone, isn't it? To building games in like Unity or something. So
yeah, Ash, what's your feelings on it?
Well, just quickly going on from what Tommy just said, it's like, see, with the potentially like only 4 games and all that kind of thing, I could potentially see that, but then at the same point, most likely there will be already like a few months of backlogs of games ready for this to get people going, to get people used to everything. But yeah, I think the opportunity of a game like this is obviously amazing, especially with the Stadia. Definitely want to give it a go at some point and learn how to do it all myself and whatnot.
Rokk, what about yourself?
Full disclosure, I've got a couple of things coming up with Crayta soon, so I'm not going to say a huge amount. I think it has massive potential. I think that I tell my only concern is that people, and I'm not genuinely not trying to be funny. My only concern is that people keep calling it a game, and that I think is going to catch some people out, like Tommy said, because it's an application. And interestingly for me, it's because it deviates from what we've conceived of Stadia to be and what it has been so far, which is exclusively a games platform. It's granted it's in the realm of games because it's fun if you're creative, or if you're if your mindset is such that you can do some low-level programming and think logically. I think it's going to be an immense fun tool, but there will be people that will go in thinking it's more like Dreams or that it's more like a game and be disappointed. The great thing is it's completely free, so anybody that complains it's not for them when they haven't had to pay for it, quite frankly, check yourself out. But I'm hugely excited by it because obviously my commercial life is all about software development. So, I also think, again, I don't want to give too much away of the conversations I'm having with the developer, but its potential as an educational tool is huge. I think again, what the future aspects that Google see for something like this goes beyond the fact of it purely being a game. I think there are lots of kind of social aspects to it that will help in the future Stadia, because I think again, one of the things that we'll see more of in the future is Google getting more involved in community stuff. Watch this space on that one. But yeah, I'm massively excited about it. But Tommy's points are very good. There's bound to be a level of monetization in it.
They have confirmed that.
They've confirmed that.
Yeah. I mean, it goes without any question. There's a limited library, so that's to be expected. But then again, if you were developing something within the tool that you could then sell in through the community, then that you paid your money, you take your choice, don't you? And as you know, Dan, you can build a website for free, but ultimately you end up having to pay for a plugin or a lump of code, because if you were to try and do it yourself, it would take you weeks or months, and it's cheaper just to give somebody £5. Yeah. So I don't think that's just how it is. That's how it is in the creative field for all of us. I mean, you're paying for the duck. You could be using OBS, but sometimes it's more convenient and just easier to pay somebody to do the job for you. So I don't begrudge them that. The thing is free ultimately. I think it's going to be an amazing thing.
My feelings on it, I think it's Rokk. You give me something more to think about there, which is always good. But my feelings on it, I think it's either going to be huge, or it's going to be forgotten
Not
about.
huge.
Yeah, be forgotten about in a couple of months after its launch. I don't think there's going to be like an in between where it's a reasonable success. I think it's either going to go large or it's going to go home. There's no in between for it in my view.
And I think that's a really, really logical way to look at it, because the nature of what it is, it's a tool essentially. So if people don't take to it, then nobody's going to be making anything in it, and then there won't be a player base to play those things because there's nothing there anyway. So I do think the developers, as awesome as this is, and I'm really happy it's coming, they need to be prepared to put a lot of support into this to make sure that it takes off. Because as long as they get enough people in there creating things, that will keep rolling.
Yeah, and they've already ducked the question about state share. So, but I think that's a guarantee to happen. Just one we think one game could propel this to massive. You wouldn't just
essentially what Fortnite was. There was an accident.
Yeah. So it just takes one thing, and this game could take off, or it could just be forgotten about. And the strange thing about this game or tool, whatever way you want to talk about it, it could happen like 2 or 3 years down the line. All it takes is just one thing if someone keeps on using it. Oh, that's just my thoughts. Speaking of tools, we also got
over to you.
Over you, Ash, yes. Speaking of tools,
it's gone after 9 p.m.
Rock in the head.
No, yeah.
Just so you know that we didn't even go live until 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it's fine. No issue. No, for me, the Unreal Engine looks amazing. Obviously, can't wait to see what comes out of it. It's like a little sidetrack, but it is still Unreal Engine. There's a game that I've been following for a while that's not fully released yet, which is a Titanic game based on the ship, not the actual movie.
Is it going to sink?
Yes. But with them, they've been using Unreal Engine 4, and just that alone, it does look amazing. And a lot of people are now saying, like, oh, maybe they should try and move across and everything. So, in time, hopefully.
Is this just you really wanting to play Jack?
No, he's not even in the game because he's not even real.
Paint me like one of your French men.
I was going to say that.
Stop bullying me. But it's like with the guys who made that, it's literally a team of 3 guys, and they've pushed it to the max that they can, and that looks amazing just on that. So if they were able to push it across to Unreal 5, then it'll be like actually being there. It's like in the trailer you saw earlier where you see the character going through the caves. For a split second, I did think like, is the chasm in there like real? Like, have they used that to build on it?
Yeah, they've confirmed that it's literally using movie quality assets.
Yeah.
Really?
Just if I can interject here quickly, the God of War art director has tweeted about that and says that's not going to happen. I'm just putting that there.
Really?
These short things, yes, but for a full game, not a mission.
No.
Well, it will be though, won't it? It's just, if people expect every game that launches on Unreal 5 to come out looking like that, then yeah, you're deluded. But if in 4 years' time people aren't being able to push their games to that kind of level, then to me that's actually lazy development. If you're not aiming to hit that kind of level, then why are you even releasing a game? Because other people will be aiming to get to that level. And if it can be done in a film, which takes 2 to 3 years, why wouldn't you be doing it for a game which takes 3 to 4 years?
Absolutely.
It's a bigger
Dan?
industry.
Dan, what's your feelings on it?
On the Unreal Engine 5. Well, we covered quite a lot of this in Dosage's podcast as well, so I'm going to try and remember what I said in that, and that is obviously when you first watch it, it was amazing. Visually, it just looked like flawless. I couldn't really tell much of a difference in the Rokk formations and what have you than real life. I also think that it is an exaggeration of what we're going to be seeing for a while yet, because people have got to learn how to use the engine and push it to its maximum capabilities. This was just a 5-10 minute demo, if you like. Something that obviously, yeah, this is like the maximum it can do. But imagine trying putting that into an entire game, such as the length of like Tomb Raider or a Final Fantasy game or something like that. Not only that, but as we said earlier about file sizes, for example, like download sizes and updates, and you start getting to the point where half your hard drive is filled up just with this one game. So
makes you wonder how much they're already looking at cloud.
Yeah,
that isn't an issue.
But I think also as well, I literally just had a point and it's just lost me. That was it. So we also touched on the topic of gameplay footage, which if we look back at Xbox's recent one, where they said everything here is an example of in-game like gameplay, and then it was just glorified CGI. But because we can't tell the difference anymore between gameplay and CGI, are we going to start seeing even more to the point where we can't like distinguish between the two? Just some points for thought.
Yeah, I'll pick up that. Yeah, this actually maybe shows that the Xbox conference was actual real or real-ish, if you want. Like, so we should be reasonably excited going forward. Since I just started talking off to get my points in the Unreal Engine 5 thing, it was exciting. Yes, was I completely blown away? Not really. I don't think maybe that's because of the hype we're going in with it, with Jeff Keighley stirring it all up. I'm not sure there is there a real big massive difference for you. I don't think there's a night and day difference at this moment in time.
I think if you've got like an 8K TV, for example, then perhaps.
Yeah, but I'm not saying like wow, this is groundbreaking. The groundbreaking stuff's it's the hard drives and stuff like that. It's not going to be the pretty pictures in the background. How often do you actually look at stuff really in detail in the background?
I do quite a lot, actually.
I often get my magnifying glass up against.
It makes a change. It makes a change when you get your magnifying glass looking for something else.
Ooh, that's got a smart.
Duncan's obviously used to doing that.
Oh man, where's that Wilson ball?
Yeah, well, it may be small, but it's a Kirby worker. Anyway, Rokk, what's your take on this?
Oh no, mate.
The best thing to tell yourself is to tell yourself not to say a thing, Rokk, because he's going to twist it.
So I think, firstly, the thing that has been annoying me all week since the Xbox, I was going to say debacle, but it was all right. Since the Xbox reveal, is this whole use of the term gameplay, when clearly none of this that we've been seeing has been gameplay. Even the demo, the Unreal demo was, it was very nicely and beautifully rendered CGI.
Rokk, it was not CGI.
Did you see the controller, Duncan?
Or the UI.
Show me the controller.
They are saying that is completely playable.
What, the flying part?
Yeah.
The whole thing was, you can actually play that.
I tell you, the one thing that did give it away was the absolutely abysmal water effect. When they're saying, oh, we've got this amazing new engine for water, and it looked like it was Quicksilver. It was the most bizarre looking fluid I've ever seen.
What I
look,
wanted to see, sorry to interrupt you, Rob, but what would have made that better is if that last bit where she's flying through everything, if she just went right into a wall, and then they went, oops.
Yeah, because that's it. Quick one, get back.
That's what happens when you do something live, guys.
Yeah, it was. I'm certain that they've got a model that they can move around in, but I'm convinced that what we saw was a pre-constructed demo. It was exactly the same when they showed us Anthem at E3 a few years ago. Exactly the same when they showed us Destiny 1 for the first time before they released the alpha. And in all of those cases, they talk about, look at this amazing gameplay, and it's all constructed. You know, a character plops in and it's, hi, Jenny. Well, hi, Daniel. How are you? I'm great. What have you been doing today? And it's all completely demoed and scripted, and the whole works. And that's what this was. However, technically, yeah, the fact that they can render so many polygons, that that they're doing multi-scan texture work, but all of that's nothing really new. And I'm absolutely convinced, as has been said by that tweet that you shared just now, in a limited scenario, so a very limited model, very limited set of textures. Of course, you can do something like that on a next-gen console, but there is no way on this planet you're going to have enough data on a hard drive, enough space on a hard drive, to take all of that, 4K times how many thousands and thousands of textures required to render a decent game. That's where cloud comes in.
Hundreds of billions of triangles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that the kit can't do it, but that genuinely then becomes where cloud kicks in, because you're not worried anymore about the scale of the thing. This is why I was saying earlier, Duncan, you remember I tweeted and asked if we knew of a next gen game that is only coming out on the next gen consoles but is also slated for Stadia, because for me that's the big indicator that we're ready, that the Gen 2, the blades, the Series 2 blades are ready, and that we're looking at quality that is going to be in the scope of the next gen consoles. I don't think anybody. Baldur's Gate 3 was mentioned, but I don't think. I know it's only coming out on the next gens, but I don't think it's doing anything specifically next gen, is it? It's didn't look particularly next gen-y to me.
I think I mentioned it in reply to you that I don't think there is anything 100% Stadia or coming to Stadia, which is coming to the next gen at this moment in time. This tweet is the art director of God of War, just basically saying that it's basically a vertical slice. You will be seeing a lot of that going forward. Tommy, do you want to say anything, or is it just going to repeat what you?
Yeah, I'd just stick to the same thing. I'm not saying that this is going to happen in the first couple of years, but if I was the head of a game studio and I had an art director that was essentially saying that we're never going to do anything like this, I'd probably want to question where he thinks things are going to improve, because if he's already doing the best he can ever do, then what are you going to do next? Games, if you look 10 years ago to what games look like then, to what they look like now, and what they're going to look like again in another 10 years, when storage isn't going to be an issue. Storage is only an issue because they're making money out of storage. I mean, you look at the price of SSDs, right? They go up and down all the time now. 5 years ago, they were just not required. They were too much money. A couple of years ago, in fact, you can still pick up like a 64 gig SSD now for what, 30 quid? Xbox is using proprietary hardware. Their little memory cards are going to be the death of that console, if you ask me. People aren't going to care right now, but in 3 years' time, when they're stuck in that ecosystem where they need to go and spend 40 quid to get another memory card to play another game, that's a bad idea. PlayStation haven't said that that's going to be a thing they're going to do, but how long? In fact, I'm fairly sure even the PS2 had a hard drive slot in it that you could plug another hard drive into. Cloud is going to fix all of these problems.
It's the only way. It's the only solution.
Yeah, AI
It's either that or they put the whole game on a literal disc. You get the disc in with the game on it, like an old cartridge system.
Could you imagine them doing that?
We're back to SNES. Woohoo! It's come on a cart. Here it goes.
I just think that the power of AI and procedurally generated things now are getting so far advanced that, like I said, you're not going to be seeing this in games other than cutscenes or in-game engine footage for a while. But if you're telling me that developers are not aiming to be creating games that look like that all the way through in 5 years' time, those studios aren't going to be there in 5 years' time.
Not only that, you've got to look at people's computers as well. I mean, obviously, when you're developing a game for like Xbox or PlayStation or even Stadia, you know the specs of that hardware. But if you're playing on PC, you've got to cater for the lowest type of person, like specs that's going to be playing.
Oh, PUBG is a great example of that still today. That people that have their £2,000 graphics cards and people that have their £100 graphics cards can play that game at very different levels. And at low, it's broken because it just doesn't render certain assets at all. It ignores them fully. But it allows that high frame rate, which is what a lot of people want in that kind of game.
I was going to throw a hand grenade in here, but I'll let Rokk finish there.
No, very quickly. I was just going to say, I mean, what more of an advert will it be in a year or two's time, Tommy, when we turn around and say, remember that director that said, there's no way you're going to create a game like this? Well, guess what's just become available on Stadia, built by the Stadia team. It's a virtually infinite world with that kind of graphic detail, and you can only get it on Stadia.
I just hope it's Jade that tweets it out to him.
I'm going to put this hand grenade in now. Will we see any Unreal Engine 5 games on Stadia?
Yeah, 100%.
Eventually.
It's the most Unreal 4 is the most widely used engine in game development. So.
Yeah. The reason why I'm saying that is if you went into the detail on it, they're hiding anything to do with Stadia and they're promoting everybody but Stadia.
Yeah, I mean, no games that are in development on Unreal Engine 5 are announced that we know of. No. So it's
said by Phil Spencer, who said a few. I've forgotten the name of the title now. The one that was they bought the studio with the Viking girl. Hellblade 2. Yeah. He said that's being built with 5.
Oh, right, okay.
What I'm actually meaning as well is with the cross save and cross progression that they have mentioned every single platform under the sun bar Stadia. It is connecting. It's connecting to iOS. It's connecting to Android, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Mac. Everything.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that they tweaked 4 to make it Stadia ready. So I mean, I don't. That wouldn't bother me. I think they're working on it, but like we know how they work in this world. None of them announce anything until it's a surefire thing. And it was only a few months ago where they said, "And it's now you can now do it." It's completely integrated into Unreal 4. So.
Obviously, a year ago.
A year.
Let's not forget that literally no game comes out with Stadia on it at the moment.
No.
Even when we know the game's coming, Doom, perfect example, did not feature until the final trailer. That game was always coming to Stadia. It demoed on Stadia before any other platform.
Well done, Tommy. Good link. So that was actually going to be our talking point for this one. Did you know about that? Was this done on purpose?
No, I'm just thinking.
It's just psychic. Basically, this comes from the Mafia trailer for this week. The main Mafia trailer did not have the Stadio logo on it, but if you went onto Facebook, it did. So why does the Stadio logo get omitted from the trailers? And should Stadia actually be taken more serious by publishers and news sites? Our Lord and Master, do you want to kick this off?
So this is which Lord are we on
He
about?
didn't mean the real Lord and Master. He meant the fellow with a crown on his head.
Yeah. Or Peasant Boy. Should we just call him Peasant Boy?
Yeah, so with that, obviously, we don't know what the specifics are. It could be that I can't remember which trailer. I think it was Destroy All Humans when they had their recent trailer. Again, we weren't listed on there, even though we've known since pretty close to launch that we will be getting it at some point. So obviously, we don't know if there's some kind of deal with the game company and whichever, like a console, to then get it promoted for them first and then everyone else after. It could be down to that. It could be down to obviously they want to show it out for the main consoles and systems first, with us being last, because they may, like we've spoken about this before, being the second class citizen kind of thing, where they think because we're still brand new, they didn't want to push us out straight away. They want to give the limelight to the bigger people and then to us after.
I'll just jump in there, Destroy All Humans. I reached out to them, and it was basically because it was a pre-order thing for the Destroy All Humans, which is sort of understandable. But this flags up another issue. Why can't you pre-order in Stadia? Then that wouldn't actually be an issue. If that makes any sort of sense. Eventually.
Yeah, because we discovered that list, didn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, coming off of what Ash said, really, I think the key thing isn't so much. I don't think it's a decision consciously made to upset Stadia or the community. I think it's simply the fact that a lot of these games have been in development for some time. A lot of the marketing and the exclusivity, the sort of, I mean, we saw it literally, didn't we, with the Xbox reveal, where it went Chorus and it went Dirt 5 and a couple of other titles, and literally within 10 minutes it was, and they're also available on Stadia. But we couldn't say anything because we've done a deal with Xbox where we got an extra 30 quid and a voucher for McDonald's if we let them do the exclusivity piece. So they announced it, then everyone else can have a crack at it. So I think it's just deals that have been done, as you rightly said. In a year's time, it'll be completely different. I mean, there'll be, you'll just be everywhere, wherever you see any of the consoles mentioned.
Tommy?
I don't know why this happens. 2K is a perfect example. Other than PGA, I think that's the first one that's actually just straight out come out and gone, yep, Stadia, here you go. But I don't know why it's happening. I guess that it's just, like you say, there have been so many deals already done in place. These games have been in development for so long that they just don't care whether or not, and to be fair, I don't care whether or not it's featured on there. As long as they come out at some point afterwards and say it's coming to Stadia, I just don't care what shows up on that. I don't really look at what it's coming out on back when I was Xbox or PlayStation, which I haven't had for a very long time. I just watch the trailer, then if it gets announced for the platform, brilliant. If it doesn't, it's all right. I'm so used to it now that just because the logo isn't there, I don't automatically think, is that not coming to Stadia? I just assume that, oh, yep, they left the logo off again.
That's a good point. And, I take the attitude now as well. Unless it's a game that has literally been built for PlayStation or for Xbox, I just naturally assume that it will come to Stadia. I'm probably being a little bit overly optimistic, but I just think that's the case. Oh, yeah, well, it's not exclusive to those guys. Eventually, it's going to end up on Stadia.
Have you got any non-exclusive titles that aren't coming to Stadia at the moment?
Yes, I was going to mention one, the big sleeper hit of the year, which, if you read the PR, is going to be SpongeBob. I'm not joking. I am not joking with that. There's a SpongeBob game coming.
Of the year.
Having
said that, what was the butt thing? What was that? What was that one again? That was huge. Oh, crikey!
Jousting?
No, the little cartoon characters. Penetration in China, Tommy. No, the little characters that, not the Simpsons, the anti-Simpsons, with Cartman and all them.
South Park.
The
fractured butthole, yeah.
That was the fella. That was huge.
I still haven't played that.
No.
I just love the titling of those
It's
games.
amazing, isn't it?
Just goes so well. The writing is phenomenal.
See, I'm the
SpongeBob.
exact opposite on all this.
Where I got
SpongeBob.
that, or sorry, I'm just tell you where I got the SpongeBob thing from. Was the PR company, and it's been their number one requested game by an absolute mountain by all the streamers and by everybody. The SpongeBob game is what everybody is wanting to play, so keep an eye on it. But that is not coming to Stadia.
I hope it doesn't come to Stadia.
Until they bring out a Starsky and Hutch game, I'm not going to be happy at all. So, just putting it out there.
I just want to see Sam and Max make a comeback.
Sam and Max.
But there's actually a load of games which are not coming to Stadia. Then you've got the new music games not coming to Stadia. From who's Harmonix. That's not coming to Stadia. Basically, there's games every single day which are getting announced, and there's no Stadia.
So,
Sort of.
No, that's what I mean. I don't mean whether or not they feature the Stadia thing. I'm just talking games that specifically are just completely sidetracking the platform. Now, the music games is interesting because generally they require third-party peripherals, which would be very tricky to incorporate on Stadia.
No, it's a DJ, so it's just on the controller. Ash, you know about this game, don't you? Or has Ash went back to sleep
He's
again?
gone. Yeah.
I'm here. Why?
Are you sure?
Yes.
You need to get a camera, Ash.
He
What,
just
is it
bought
just really
a
quiet?
Razer mouse and keyboard.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause he's just sold me his old mouse and keyboard.
yeah, I don't need them. Sorry, which game was it again? Was it the SpongeBob game?
I wasn't here.
Donkey Kong.
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Well, from what I've seen from that anyway, it is a remake of an original one. Which
We weren't actually talking about that, Ash.
I know I'm just quickly saying, like, that if it did come to Stadia eventually one day, then I would probably get it.
Can I just say, I really want to talk about this point, and I've been left till last, and I'm like brewing here.
Okay, off you go, Dan. Get it out.
I absolutely.
Okay, Dan, that's okay. We're on to the
Hate.
next point now.
I,
We're out of time.
I absolutely hate not seeing the Stadia logo on things. I mean, yes, you pointed out earlier that just because we don't see the Stadia logo, it doesn't mean we're not going to see it on Stadia at some point. But I mean, the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater announcement that happened the other day. I'm a massive Tony Hawk's Pro Skater fan, and I played those games to death as a kid, and just not seeing that Stadia logo, it just really hurts, even though I know there's a chance that it could still be coming to Stadia, and maybe not at launch. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. Maybe these games were being developed for other platforms before Stadia was even really a thing. So therefore, they might get that question asked later on, do you want to bring this game to Stadia? And you've got to look at the games that we've got so far already on Stadia. A lot of them are kind of older games that have been brought forward to Stadia. So there's every chance that we could see these games, but it's just something so minor to me that, like, just stick that little white S in the bottom corner. That's all you've got to do. Right. And I don't know whether they're forgetting to do it. I don't know whether it's contractual, like you said. I don't know whether it's just because we're not being taken seriously and we're being treated as a second class.
You've muted yourself.
Oh, yeah, your audio's gone.
He's upset.
Yeah, that's probably best. That's probably for best.
Why
Can you hear me?
That out?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
We can now.
It just really grates me. And when we had I didn't obviously know that the Unreal announcement was going to be an engine rather than a game. I thought it was going to be a game, and I just remember sitting here thinking, right, let's get ready for another game trailer that's not going to be coming to Stadia, and it's just starting to kind of get me down a little bit. I don't see why it's too hard for them to just say it might not be coming to Stadia straight away, but it will be coming to Stadia at some point.
Yeah, for me, that Mafia stuff just pointed out to me that Stadia is an afterthought at this moment in time for a lot of people. Why was there two trailers created?
Yeah, why don't just make it one? I mean, if they couldn't create the trailer with the Stadia logo on, then why was there one? if that makes sense.
Yeah. See, that's what's really mind-boggling for me, is because it's just that one wee last bit just didn't have the Stadia in it for the main trailer, but you had to go digging for the Facebook one.
So I haven't seen both yet. I've only seen the one with the Stadia logos on. Is it the exact same trailer?
It's just missing that S.
Right. I was going to say, 'cause wouldn't it be interesting if the reason behind that was actually that they took it from like a different aspect, or even that potentially the Stadia version, if we go back to this is going back quite a way, but when they were talking about Stadia and saying that developers are going to be able to say that you can play the best experience on Stadia, is that going to come into these kinds of things at some point? Where I'm not talking about exclusivity, I'm not an advocate of that at all. I would rather we never ever seen an exclusive title ever again.
Same.
But could you imagine if once Gen 2 is not known as Gen 2, it's just known as Stadia, and the new local hardware is out in the ecosystem, and we get 2 years into that, people are pushing that as to pretty much what they're going to be pushing it for the rest of its life cycle, and then all of a sudden Stadia is just like, right, bang, now we're unlocking 8K because we can. We're going to start potentially seeing that things are going to be released differently, because in the sense when 4K first started coming out and becoming a thing, we got adverts of how good things look in 4K on our HD TVs. It is literally the most pointless advert in the world, because you are trying to replicate something that is physically impossible on the same screen. It'd be like handing somebody 2 different ice creams and going, no, that chocolate one is vanilla. You just can't do it. And I wonder, though, if we're going to get to that point where we split off from it because we can show something that the other platforms can't show. That was why I asked, is it the same trailer? Because if it's running the ported version rather than the other people's version, then that would make perfect sense. And in that sense, I would rather that we seen our own trailers. But that was a long-winded way of saying I don't know.
Yeah, basically the trailer was exactly the same. The only thing different was the slice at the end where they had the logo and the other one didn't. And it was the main 2K page tweeted out the trailer without the Stadia logo, and it was on the Facebook page, which had the one with the with the Stadia logo on it. So it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, the inconsistency is the biggest problem with it, I think, isn't it?
Off you go, Ash.
It's like with the Assassin's Valhalla trailer, where obviously it was announced from Xbox with their branding first, and then we got ours like an hour or two later. Which again, that could be just down to exclusivity for the advert or whatever. We don't know what the contract is, but again, it could still be something like that where one of the big competitors have been there, like, right, they're against us. If I give you this much amount of money, hide it for a little bit.
There you go. See, Dan, you were too early, mate. I told you it would come out eventually. Breaking news, folks.
Did you just Photoshop that then?
Why would I go to that kind of frivolity just for you, Dan? Come on.
Yeah, that doesn't sound realistic.
Don't play with my feelings like that.
I personally think that this will come to Stadia. I really hope it does. I don't want to have to go and buy hardware just to play that one game, and I will.
Tony's even looking down at the Stadia logo. Look. He knows what's coming.
Give it 10 minutes, he might have the Stadia logo on his helmet.
Excuse me?
Okay.
Naughty. How dare you?
You're the one currently photoshopping it, Ash.
Yeah.
Clearly. I don't even have Photoshop installed at the moment.
Oh, I love a carry on.
Yeah. How else? Oh, yes, we've got something else to say here. Next week, Stadia is 6 months old. So
Happy birthday to you.
So we are going to have a couple of articles running on Stadia Source, which people don't know about. Tommy's actually going to have to do some work. And And we're having a big round table on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, and we've got some special guests going, and some not so special. Rokk, how are you?
Thanks, pal. I'm putting them a cup of soup off for that.
I know. So we're going to have a great talk about what's happening on State of Stadia on Tuesday. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of announcements on Tuesday as well, so there might actually be 2 streams. That's my bold prediction for this week. We're going to have 2 streams on Tuesday because Stadia are going to drop a lot of information via roadmap on what's happening. So just keep us on Stadia Source next week, because we're going to have a lot of articles celebrating the 6 months of Stadia and where we think everything is going to be going. Dan, do you want to do this next bit?
Yeah, so that kind of wraps up our show for the evening. So what I wanted to do is just bring this up on the stream here, and this is a big, massive thank you to all of our patrons so far. So, yeah, I'm just going to let that roll down a second. Rokk, you're even a patron as well, so thank you very much as well. And also, I know we can't say it enough as well, Rokk, but thank you for hosting the website as well. So, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see his big, massive logo at the bottom there.
I hasten to add, it is the business. It just happens that the business copied me. What can I do?
But yeah, massive thank you to all of our patrons as well. I know there's quite a few patrons there that will be expecting some Stadia Source merchandise as well. I'm just trying to find a way to kind of bring that to the people that are in the States, because the people that we've kind of set up the merchandise with at the moment don't deliver to the States, and that's where a lot of our Platinum patrons are as well. So your merchandise will be coming. If you're watching, let me know what kind of things you like, if you'd like a t-shirt or a cap or something, and we'll see what we can sort out for you. But if you're wanting to become a patron, if you look at the bottom of any Stadia Source page, you will see a link to our Patreon there. There's some different tiers, each have their own different perks as well. So yeah, go and check that out. And that's
no, there's one more thing we need to do before that. Rokk, get pimping.
Get pimping?
Get pimping.
It's not that late, is it?
Yes, it is.
he's got to don his feather cap and
Yeah, exactly.
and his
Get your
cane.
mankini on, get out on the streets. Yeah. Why? What's going down? What's Rokk got to do?
Where can we find you, Rokk? And if you got
Oh, pimp, that kind of pimp. You can find me on most people's shows these days, I think. So yeah, Stadia Rocks on YouTube, Stadia Rocks on Twitter, and that's all you need to know, really, isn't it?
Have you any new shows coming out?
I have got a new show coming up. Funny you should say that, Duncan. But I'm not saying too much about it just yet. Needless to say, though, it'll be like you've had a flavour of it this evening. I've got a new show coming up next Friday, Friday week, and it hopefully doesn't coincide with anybody else. It's quite a carefully chosen time, and it's going to be called Rock Stars at Night. It's an after dark show with a twist. And the first show may have a couple of people on it that you all know. So yeah, tune in for that. Should be good fun.
Oh, that's great. It sounds interesting, and I think some warnings may have to come on before you start it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think make sure all your pets are locked up. That's the key thing.
Why is Ash going to be on it?
That's not
That's the reason he doesn't have a camera.
Oh, so good.
Wow.
Dan, you can close this out here.
Yeah, so you can obviously find us in all the usual places, stadiasource.com as well. So thank you for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute legend it's absolutely legendary. I can't even get my words out now because I'm laughing too much. It's absolutely legendary to hang out with all you guys, and thank you for Rokk for coming on the show at such short
Thanks for
notice as
inviting
well.
me, guys.
And you need to go and spend some time with your wife because I'm sure you're burning through those husband tokens.
It's
Like
too
the rest
late,
of us.
mate. Papers are in the post. It was the wife or you guys. You know, what choice?
Honoured. Anybody else want to say anything before I close the stream off?
No.
Thanks to the chat, because they've been excellent. They've made me chuckle.
Yeah, it's been a good one.
It has been quite entertaining.
Right, I'm going to go ahead and close up. So thank you for everyone for watching, and we will see you on that next one. Bye-bye.